Okay. Okay, hi guys, welcome to the first episode of Please Be Offended, which is supposed to be a weekly thing, and basically my brother and I are going to talk about some very serious things but completely shit on them, which is something we do all the time, and which is something some of my best friends do with me. So I thought, why not take some very serious topics and make light of them, as most friends do. So interestingly enough, for today, the topic that he picked was Trump getting shot, which we were discussing. So I asked him if we had any particular topics that he wanted to discuss, and he mentioned a few things. And then the moment he said, "Why not talk about Trump getting shot?" I was like, "Yeah, that's a good idea." So to start it off, the first thing I want to know from you is, so first you tell me why this was the topic that you wanted to discuss, and then I'll tell you why I agreed to it.
Well, you just threw me a random curveball, and I'm like, okay, well, let's think about what's happened recently. Oh yeah, president almost got shot. Why not just lead with that? You know? And it is something I wanted to discuss with somebody, but it's very hard outside of this circle to find people who are more even knowledgeable about the subject. So why not, right?
Yeah, pretty much.
Much less shit on it.
Considering the fact that the circle is just the two of us,
Yeah.
I think it's not too much of a circle. Anyway, so the reason why I agreed to it is because the first thought that came into my head when you said let's talk about Trump getting shot was, okay, so if we talk about Indian politicians, the first sentence that comes out of my mouth will get me arrested. But if we talk about American politicians or any other nation's politicians for that matter, that'll be perfectly fine. So yeah, that's why I was like, okay, yeah, we can shit on American politicians. They don't give a crap.
They're probably backers.
You know what, it's kind of funny. So the most powerful country in the world has politicians who will let their citizens and the whole world take a shit on them and not take it personally. But then in every other country in the world, you see these politicians taking everything so fucking personally, right?
Yeah.
Because this is what I believe. So I'm not saying it's gospel, but I genuinely think that politicians act like idiots quite often in every country. It's just that, for example, our politicians will act like idiots sometimes and get people to.
I think sometimes they're understating, and it's pretty much like every week.
I can't understand what you just said.
I think sometimes it's a bit of an understatement. They'll do it every week. You'll always have some guy who comes out with some very.
I'm trying not to get arrested or shot or like.
Oh, but we're being ambiguous. We're not being specific.
It doesn't really matter here, buddy. You know what? I was watching this video just the other day of an Indian comedian who was like, so I went to the state to perform, and in every city that I had to go to perform, I had to go to the police station and sign on a document that said I will not joke about the people in my audience, say anything that offends them, not joke about any politicians, any personalities of note, any religion, any I don't know, educational system, like everything, right? And he was like, what the fuck am I supposed to joke about? You know, like you've left me nothing. You can't joke about women, you can't joke about men, you can't joke about religion, you can't joke about politics. So what is left? You've covered every fucking topic on the planet, right?
Yeah.
What is that guy supposed to write a joke about? And it's not like that guy is waking up in the morning or any comedian for that matter wakes up in the morning and says, you know what, today I'm going to write something that is going to offend people. They just want to write something that will make people laugh, right?
Yeah.
Nobody gives a shit about it.
Well, could be both.
I mean,
you could be skirting the line. You know,
maybe, yeah. Because a lot of people do that nowadays. Yeah. But anyway, so I digress. Getting back to Trump, right? What do you think about him getting shot? For starters,
I think it was funny.
I wouldn't even say he actually got shot. Like bullet just nicked his ear.
Yeah, it nicked his ear. But if you hear the audio, right, his mic audio is pretty funny. Ah, fuck! I got shot.
you know, that reminds me of another thing that he did.
What?
So you remember the last time he was running for president?
Yeah.
This audio got leaked of him talking to somebody on a bus and he's just like telling that guy that I just grabbed him by the pussy. And when he got elected, right?
Yeah.
I was like, this is fucking brilliant. like this is freedom of speech at its finest. Because you can get caught saying you grabbed women by their pussy and you can still get elected in America.
Probably what got him elected in the first place. Think about it.
That doesn't show American citizens in a very good light, does it?
I mean, but think about it. Like, America is marketed as like what? Guns to its money. It's very in line with that concept, you know.
Yeah,
I mean, on a superficial level.
He does, like, he is in line with the tits and money part. Guns not so much, but
policy wise now.
Whatever. He's almost there.
2/3.
Considering the fact that he is on the right, he kind of should be pro-guns, at least for the sake of his party.
Yeah, but the funny thing is his policies don't reflect that, you know. Like, his policies on guns are actually less pro-gun than they are anti-gun. Oh, sorry, the other way around. They're more anti-gun than they are pro-gun.
Yeah, I never understood that concept. Like,
I think
it is not the gun's fault. You can't blame a hammer if somebody picks it up and smashes somebody's head with it, right?
Yeah, it's a two.
You can't blame a gun because somebody shot someone else. Like, it's not the gun's fault.
See, I think the policies that relate to gun control in the US are fucking bonkers. They're insane. They don't make any sense.
Okay, so from a technical perspective, you can say that they have policies on gun control, but the fact of the matter is there is no gun control. Like, it is non-existent there, and I'm perfectly fine with it.
The thing is, the ATF doesn't know anything about guns in the first place. Let's just get that out of the gate, and that goes with how they define it, what they cancel out, what they think is worthwhile. A lot of the laws, a lot of the stuff they ban out doesn't make sense. Take a suppressor, for example. Suppressors are for hearing safety. They're not assassin tools. They're not Hollywood pew pew things, right? you don't shoot somebody and then walk away and expect nothing. Nobody's gonna hear it. You shoot somebody.
I like the sound effect. Pew pew pew. No, but okay. So we are digressing again. We keep doing this shit.
ATF, right?
No, not the ATF.
He's been banning things a lot more than you'd say Joe Biden or whatever, right?
Dude, Joe Biden couldn't.
Joe Biden was also not pretty.
I mean, that dude can barely remember where he is standing in the middle of the speech. Let's not even talk about him. Okay, we'll get to him, but let's not get into that. So, before he got shot, before he got nicked, to be more accurate, because I think
he almost got his head blown off.
Almost.
He barely turned and like nicked his head, you know.
Okay, so do you think he was going to win the election before he got shot?
Probably not. I don't think so. I think Biden. I mean, it was going to be close, but I think Biden was going to win it. Then, yeah, because if you look at it, in like every detraction that you can have for Biden is also Trump's. But the thing about Trump is Trump has a more loyal base, right? It's kind of out there.
No, but
I wouldn't be surprised if Trump won as well.
You can't say that everything that goes against Trump also goes against Biden, because Trump is coherent. He might be an ass, but he is coherent.
Yes. But what he is coherent is pretty fucking stupid as well.
Dude, see,
I think
it's the same conversation we were having a couple of days ago when you said, Trump is an idiot. And I reminded you of the fact that he is the ex-president who is very likely going to be a two-term president now. And he can't be an idiot, right?
Right.
It's just that his perspective on things is a little warped, and people like you don't agree with it, and people like me also don't agree with a lot of what he says. But the fact of the matter is, he does appeal to his voter base, which is massive. So
I think
he appeals to America.
I think he's socially intelligent, as in he understands how to group people up, how to rally people. But as far as what his job is concerned, policy making, all that, like there's different aspects of intelligence, right? It's not one narrow stream.
Yeah, but wouldn't you say that most politicians are not actually good at what politicians are supposed to do?
But he's particularly bad at it. And it's like we've had that before. But it's this specific blend of not being good at it and being
pompous about it.
Yeah, exactly.
In any way.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I might not be good at it, but fuck you.
It's that double whammy that you have to see, right? He fucks things up, but then he's gonna play it like a master, like some kind of master stroke, and then you have to sit there and just take it all in. It's very funny to see.
See, that's the thing about him that I kind of have not been able to pin down. Because in my opinion, I can't really tell, and I don't think anybody except for people who genuinely know him as a person and who are close to him can tell whether he is doing the things that he does because they're well thought out, or he's just fucking winging it and getting away with it. And I think that there is a certain sense of strategy behind it.
Yeah.
Because he is very polarizing on purpose, and so see, that is something that politicians in India
are very good at.
Over the past decade, especially, have been very good at.
Yeah.
Because you recognize that if you can polarize the population, regardless of which country it is, and you have the larger grouping on your side, so the majority is on your side, you have automatically won.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, that is something that I think people miss out about Trump.
See, you're right. And I agree in the sense that he has a strategy and he's smart enough to make that strategy. He's not an idiot. He's not a fool who's running. At the end of the day, however he made it, he's a former president of the most powerful nation on earth. And he has some very good marketing strategy. There's some brain and thought process behind that. But he's also not as smart as he's made out to be, right? There's a lot of fault lines.
I don't think anybody is making him out to be smart. Like what you hear, the narrative that you hear surrounding Trump is more often that he is an idiot than people actually saying, you know what, he's smart.
Yeah.
Like people speculate on whether he is actually smart, but the people who say he's an idiot, they say it very definitively. Like they know that he has some sort of a medical condition that makes him a retard or something. They're very, very like they're very convinced of it. Right? I don't know. Anyway, so the thing is, I don't think Biden would have won against him, regardless of whether he got shot or not.
It kind of like goes back and forth in my head because they're both. When I said that they're both very similar in terms of their detractions, I meant in the sense that in the American public's eyes, they're both old people who haven't done all that well in their terms, who aren't all that popular, and frankly people want new things, and they're kind of tired of seeing the same people running again and again and again and again. They want new faces. Now whether that really translates into Kamala Harris, I think she has a good chance of winning, but
you know, there are a lot of questions surrounding Kamala Harris and her professional life, you know, and the things that she was involved in before she became a very popular politician. So I think that is something that people have questions about. I think, and so this is not something I agree with, but the fact that she is a woman is also a major disadvantage, practically speaking.
No, I agree.
Not because regardless of what you think about the world, people are still very iffy on the idea of a woman being president in America. Which is kind of amusing, but it just is what it is.
See, we can pretend that we've fixed world issues and we're all socially harmonized, but the reality is we're still very primitive beings. We have a very long way to go socially to develop ourselves, to figure things out. And the thing about social change is it kind of bounces on extremes. You're going to have one aspect, you're going to have one particular era where things are really, really favoring one side, then there's going to be a reaction to the other side. And eventually it's all going to bounce back until it's down the middle.
It's that seesaw effect that you see, right? Yeah. And you see it in every country, like you see it in India as well. When the right is in power for too long, or all of a sudden things do flip. Even when you think the left has nothing to offer, or that they don't have the capacity to go up against the right, they might do a little better, and then all of a sudden the dynamic changes. You know? So yeah, I do agree with that. That does happen. So here's my thing though. So okay, one of the funniest things I saw was Trump after getting shot. So he had a bandage on his ear, and he was walking to the stage for an event, and in the background the music, so they were playing 50 Cent's Many Men, and he's walking out like a fucking gangster, and you know that song, right? It
Yeah,
goes,
many men
wish death upon me, blood in my eye, dog, I can see, I'm trying to be what I'm destined to be, and trying to take my
life away,
right? And dude, I couldn't stop laughing because I was like, okay, he got his ear shot off, and now this fucker has somehow become the most gangster politician in American
Oh, it didn't even
politics.
take him 5 seconds.
Right.
You've seen that photo, right? That image?
Which image? Oh yeah.
Yeah.
But that was pretty cool. I have to give him that. Like, to get shot in the ear as somebody who's not used to violence.
Yeah.
And then having the wherewithal to make a gesture like that, which is going to like live through people's memories even after this term is over. This is one of the reasons why I think he's smart, because he
that image alone carries a lot of weight and has a lot of optical like impact behind it, right? You can fuck over a lot of things with just that image. It didn't even take an hour before people were making memes out of that shit. That's how. And I wouldn't give it an entire I wouldn't give it an entire wherewithal, like in the sense that it affects everything and just changes everything with just one image. But the fact that he was able to come up with that on the spot just like that after getting shot, and something that effective as like a marketing tool,
a marketing gimmick, basically.
I guess, is it just speaks to how well in tune he is with like presenting himself to the public, right?
And
to his market, appealing to his demographic,
voters. Yeah. So other presidential candidates and presidents in the US have also been shot at or shot, right? So if you talk about JFK, so if you talk about Kennedy, basically, for people who don't know the abbreviation, so when he got shot, it was a big deal because he was seen as a brilliant man, right? And he was seen as somebody who was ahead of his time and who was bringing social and political change, and most importantly, one of the reasons why people believe he was shot was because he was bringing institutional changes to the fabric of American politics. So, of course, that was a big event and that was a sad thing, and people were affected by it. And then somebody took a shot at Reagan as well, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah.
And funnily enough, so after that, at one of his speeches, a balloon popped off. And you probably would have seen this. And he immediately said, "Missed me." That was pretty cool. And then
if you think about it, all presidential assassinations that failed came off, the candidates came off very well from that, all the way back to Teddy Roosevelt. Teddy Roosevelt got shot and he still continued with his speech.
But see, okay, to compare Roosevelt,
Roosevelt was like
any other president is, I think it's a disservice to Roosevelt.
Yep.
Because that guy was I'm not trying to be sexist or anything, but that guy was like a man. That is somebody you want running your country.
That guy knew his food and drugs, that guy knew what to do.
He knew what?
He knew his food and drugs. He knew what to do.
He knew
how to approach his life.
That wasn't the point I was trying to make. Like, he was a hunter and a nature lover. He is the one who set up all of the national parks in America, right? So he had an understanding of it. He had been to war. He was a bona fide warrior. So he was a boxer.
Yeah.
He used to fight even when he was older and he was a president.
And he was asthmatic.
Yeah. And so there was brilliance to him, which is why I would not compare him to Trump.
He had a charisma and he had a
Biden.
well-founded charisma.
Yeah. Dude, his daughter, one of his daughters, like one of his children, so I don't know how many children he had and how many daughters he had. One of them was very interesting because she would drink, smoke, get high on all sorts of shit, go out, party, drive, which was like beyond comprehension at
Back
that point.
then,
Right? And so this one time, Roosevelt's wife told him that you should pay more attention to her and take care of her. And he said, I can either run the country or take care of her. I cannot do both because they're monumental tasks.
Yeah.
And I found that quite funny. It's like his whole perception on his child was, you are too much of a fucking headache and I need to run this country. I can't deal with you. Go have a good time.
I'm curious about the wife though.
Why?
Your husband is running a whole country. Why are you running up to him to take care of your problem child?
Probably because the problem child would not respond to the wife.
See, that's her issue. That's something for her to figure out. Part of the problem is her running to the dude. You know?
Don't do that. Because people are gonna get pissed and call you a sexist.
I guess that's fair. Yeah. See, I'm not saying that you should particularly be inclined and forced into a role or anything like that. But if you're already there and you're taking care of the kid,
yeah, I mean, if you're the
at least
first,
figure it out.
if you're the first lady and your husband is running the country,
Yeah.
like do something, like take care of the family. Or
you have the
something.
resources of the entire country behind you. Like, you know, just skim a little bit of it.
What did you think about Michelle Obama and all of the things that she used to do when Obama was president?
I think she lived her life very well.
Yeah,
I think she made very good use of her position.
Yeah, but do you think it was for the benefit of the people she was supposed to serve, or do you think it was for her own benefit?
I think she just went along. I think it was her benefit, and she just went along with whatever Obama was
Right,
coming up
because
with, right?
like to me, most of what she did was like setting herself up individually because her husband is the president, so now she has the capacity to do that for herself.
Yep.
Which is kind of funny. Like, you know what? Every time she used to chime into political issues and all of that stuff. My whole thing is like, you know, your husband is the president. He was seen as the person who's qualified to do the job.
Yep.
And you can have an opinion on it, but at a certain point you should not be the authority on it.
Yep.
Because you weren't elected, right? So like, stay in your lane. Because okay, let's flip the script and say
It's not even qualifications.
No,
You're not even elected for the job.
exactly, that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So in people's mind, he was the one who was qualified to do the job and they elected him, right? Let him do the job. Because if you flip the script, and this is my point, so tomorrow, or let's assume if Michelle Obama was the president and Barack Obama was the
First husband?
I don't know,
Wouldn't be a lady.
I don't know, I'm not getting into this. This is
That's
like,
a curious.
yeah, this is like trying to navigate a minefield. I don't want to do it. So whatever he would be, right? People would be ecstatic because they would be like, first female president, blah 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 blah, right? And the moment Barack Obama would open his mouth, every fucking feminist on the planet would tell him to go fuck himself, right?
Rightfully so, yeah.
Yeah, but we don't do that to the first lady. Like when Reagan's wife,
Yeah.
it was Reagan's wife who said, say no to drugs.
I think so, I'm not sure.
Yeah, so she had this
It's
whole,
in the same campaign.
She had this whole campaign where she was like, oh, just say no.
Yeah.
And it's like, that is not how it works. Like, you know, if you talk to any fucking doctor, he will tell you that's not how it works.
No.
You don't hold like a packet of cocaine in your hand and say no and put it down and that is the end of it. That is not how drug addiction works. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
See, my life is done. I'm poor as fuck. I'm living in some ghetto. I have no life. My mom is working 3 jobs, 24 hours a day, like 18 hours a day. I have zero education. I have to sell crack every single day on the streets. But say no to drugs and everything goes away.
Right? No, but
I got too caught up.
So you know how in India our elders, so I don't usually give money to beggars. I give money to transsexual people when they ask for it because to me I think okay, that is more of a genuine cause.
I've seen it personally.
Right.
Yeah.
But that is besides the point. So what I'm talking about is every time somebody on the street asks you for money in India, our elders would tell us, don't pay them. You know, they're just going to go get drunk or high. And it's like, what is wrong with that? Right? Because you sit at home in front of us and pour drinks and get high. And you actually have a life. That fucker has nothing. At least let him have fucking a little bit of alcohol or like let him get high or something and have some solace. You know? Like, you have a life and you still need alcohol sometimes just to get through the day.
Yeah.
And that guy who is like constantly getting shat at by life shouldn't get high. I don't get that.
Well,
like, okay, it's my job to decide whether I want to give that person money or not.
Yeah.
Right? It's his job to do whatever the fuck he wants to do with it. Like, who gives a shit? I did my part out of the goodness of my heart. Because I was like, okay, yeah, whatever. If he wants to feed himself, he can feed himself. If he wants to go snort a packet of heroin, he can do it. Whatever. I don't give a shit. right?
Yeah.
Like, why do people give so much of a shit? Okay, why are people like, I gave money to that beggar and then I saw him 2 hours later and he was pissed drunk. Like, okay, so what?
See, that's one of those big questions that keep revolving in my head about pretty much everything. Like, why do people give so much of a shit about this and that? See, you can be inclined towards something, right? You can be attentive to it. You can be interested in it, but to be emotionally invested, right? Like it's a
in everything.
Yeah,
and in things that have nothing to do with you.
Yeah,
you know how people
and things you don't even know about. Frankly,
people will go online and they will be like, "You said dash dash dash. Go fuck yourself." And you realize later that this person has nothing to do with that subject. It's kind of like how NRIs talk about Indian politics.
Yeah, and
they will give. Especially in Punjab, they will tell Punjabis that this is how things should be, and this is how you should be, and these are what your leaders should be, and this is what the political structure of your state should be. And my whole thing is like, dude, you don't even live here. Like, shut the fuck up.
Most of them haven't lived here for a very long time.
Exactly. What does it have to do with you? You have no ground experience of the things that you're talking about, and yet you are running your mouth because you have this warped sense of Punjab is my homeland. Every time you come to Punjab, you can't even last out more than like 15-20 days and you feel like running back because life is hard here and harsh here, right? And you're always whining about the same thing that you were talking about yesterday. Oh, people drive like this and drive like that and yada yada yada. And like, dude, it is what it is. Like, get used to it. Right?
It's funny though, because coming from Canada, right, where you have a very at least structured like road traffic and all that, and it's coming over here and just getting blasted with that kind of traffic again is it's jarring, but kind of in a good way, right? One thing I really like about coming back here is that there's spice to life over here.
In every sense,
in every things are broken, things are great, things are this and things are that, but there are
things to contend with, and there is a life to live.
You go over there, things are pretty drab. There's no, you go to the road, it's empty as shit, there's buildings. It's like you're walking in a Soviet brutalist environment without the brutalism,
So you would rather have the brutalism as well.
Nah, that's so funny. At least be thematic, right?
Okay. I get your point.
Yeah, it should be
if you're going for a theme, go balls out.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't do it half-heartedly.
Yeah.
No, I get it. And there is a certain charm to that.
Yeah.
Anyway, getting back to Trump getting shot. Oh fuck. So do you think? Here's my thing. So the guy who shot at Trump, that guy's profile echoes of all of these people who were shot at presidents and then they got caught, and then you realize, it's that same profile and they give you that same story. Oh, he was a loner, he was this, he was that, and yada yada yada, and he had these psychological issues and blah blah blah. But here's my thing, right? How does a young guy like that with no real experience in killing people or doing that kind of shit find his way beyond the Secret Service's range of protection, get 100 and something feet away from the potential and ex-president of the United States and manage to take a shot at him?
See, that's the funny part. I can't really, like, logistically, I can't really wrap my head around this.
Exactly.
How is it? Because this is so bad from a operational perspective that you can't really, it's not even incompetence. You have to start questioning if there's a motive behind it.
Dude,
I'm not saying there is.
You and I have no experience at protecting high value targets.
Yeah, and even we can say, why the fuck is that building
okay, so 130 or 40 meters or whatever away, right, or feet away. I'm blanking on what the exact distance was, but it was very fucking close.
Oh, very close, 100 meters.
Even you and I have the common sense, or any normal person would have the common sense to say, oh, we are supposed to protect this person. This is definitely
that open ass
gun range.
Might want to be covered.
Yeah, somebody should be on that roof.
Yeah,
right?
Exactly.
Or at least have an eye on that roof.
Yeah.
Like, it is either a comically high level of incompetence,
exactly,
or a very well thought out plan that went south and now they don't know how to explain it.
The whole point of having counter snipers is they don't look at the people down there.
Right.
Their job is to watch the rooftops, the windows, the balconies, etc., etc. And to fuck up that somehow, where a building this close, open roof, has zero coverage.
A white fucking roof. That is like it was one floor, right?
Yeah.
So it's not even very high. And it's not even that you can say, oh, he was camouflaged. He was on a white fucking roof. That is the most contrast you can get.
He was crawling on the roof.
For fuck's sake, man. This is like amateur hour. I can't believe it.
And I genuinely can't believe it, because you listen to people who work with Secret Service, right? SWAT, cops and all that before. On all of their accounts, they've said the Secret Service is very, very professional
and
very competent at their job, and they have to be. A lot of these people are former special operations, have very decorated history in combat.
They come from Delta.
They know what they're doing.
They come from SEALs. They come from Marine Spec Ops. Like they're the best of the best.
Yeah, usually they're former JSOC units, Jason and all that. They have tons of experience. They're very, very well trained, very, very well equipped. Have thorough planning, and this is like the only way. Like, this has to be a planning. If this was like a mechanical failure, right? This has to be a very.
What do you mean a mechanical failure?
As in a failure in carrying out the job, executing the job.
Technical failure.
Yeah, technical failure. If this is a technical failure, then they fucked up from the very first step, which is planning, right? You plan from where you can, as like PSD. You plan making a short
Here's my thing. Okay, let's assume that the plan was fucked up from the beginning, right? You will still have counter snipers in that vicinity, who will be better placed than where that fucker was. How did they not see him?
I mean, I haven't seen the entire map itself. I just know the building and all that. So I don't know if there's like what other coverage you can get from elsewhere. It's also a matter of terrain. But even still, there's zero excuse. Like, you have to be supremely jihadi, ISIS levels of incompetent to see a rooftop 100 meters, 140, 100 whatever meters away from your principal, and I think, I think somebody can get shot, can shoot a bullet from there. Somebody can shoot at a guy from there. Let's just put a guy over there. Let's just get some coverage over there. Let's get a sniper train on that.
Basic shit, right?
Yeah. Even ISIS would probably figure that out for give them a minute.
They put 2 fucking planes into 2 buildings in New York. I'm sure they can figure out a lot of shit.
Al Qaeda, ISIS, but
I'm just like, to me, that whole grouping, right? They have their own issues and they don't get along well, but their operational capabilities are quite similar. Like Al Qaeda and ISIS and all of these jihadi groups, their modus operandi is usually pretty close to each other, right? So if Al Qaeda could do it, and I'm pretty sure ISIS can as well. Even though ISIS is pretty much like, it was going
destroyed.
South.
It's mostly destroyed now.
It's just ISIS Khorasan that's still functional,
and mostly in the rurals of Iraq, and like you have different ISIS splinter groups in Africa and all that. So it's still there, but it's very weak.
Dude, you had the Wagner group in Africa. Like, Africa is everything.
Africa is a continent.
Every fucked up warlord in the world is like in Africa.
Prime time over there. It's amazing. You can there's like countries falling apart and everything. Even now, there always is, but especially right now, you have dictators taking over the civil side of things.
While I was working, so I used to write a lot of political stuff. That is when the whole thing in Sudan erupted again. And it reminded me of when our father used to be there, and they were going through the same North Sudan, South Sudan, one warlord against the other shit. And we were kids back then, and he was there, so we knew the whole thing intimately, right? Because he would tell us about it. Now we've grown up, right? We have very easily at least finished a quarter of our lives. Me especially, you a little less than a quarter.
There.
Yeah, and they're still doing the same fucking crap. Like, at what point do you? So I get the whole primitive warlords against warlords thing, right? But at a certain point in any country, somebody has to come up who has the balls and the capacity to put every other warlord down and just run the country, right? I think there is something to it where even the people who are running these operations or these nations and everything in them are not willing to get there, because the conflict is far better for them, because they can make more money, steal more assets, go around doing all sorts of shit while it is unstable.
I don't think so. I think once you take over the country, you have a lot more opportunities. You can, take out all your shit on the population. You can get money from there. You have a lot more leeway there.
Practically speaking, but then for a warlord who already has billions, right? Like, to him the norm is that the conflict gave me this, and the conflict continues to provide. So let's just keep it going.
See, with that, it's a matter of, you can have money, right? But with any military power, whatever application of force you want, you need brains, and that's something these people generally don't have, because they're not qualified professionals. And even if they're very competent commanders, the people under them are not going to be the same. And then there's the political games you have to play with your own men. You can't really have a competent military. Why? Because then you have to worry about them
coming after you.
Yeah, exactly. Why would they need you?
That is the age-old problem in Africa, right? Every time they strengthen the military comes after the politicians, and everything goes to shit.
Exactly. Even within the militaries themselves.
Even in Pakistan. That's the funniest part. Okay, so this is what I love about Pakistan.
I do like Pakistan, the way the Pakistani military does it, because they've figured it out. They've really refined it.
So they've really refined running the country from behind the scenes, like pretending that you are not the power that is running everything.
Yep.
Even though everybody in the world knows, right? But here's the thing. So they don't do a very good job of running the country.
They don't care about it. They're making their money.
That's all they care about. My point, right?
They have their businesses all reaching all the way to the US and Australia and wherever. They're making a lot of money. None of their officially sanctioned. Yeah, exactly.
None of their kids study or live in Pakistan.
Yeah, they go to London. They study in London School of Economics. All that. They're doing really good for themselves. Yeah. That's what they care about. The country itself is not relevant to them. As long as they're making their money, they maintain their base of power. They're good to go. It's about objectives, right? They're not interested in running Pakistan so long as it doesn't fall apart immediately and collapses and burns and just gets disintegrated. It's all good to go for them.
They have primed it to pretty much collapse. It's just like it's the World Bank and Western intervention and all of that crap. So they will go up against the West and fuck with them when they're retreating out of Afghanistan and prop up the Taliban and do all of that crap, only for the Taliban to come smack them in the face with their dicks and be like, you know what, you think you helped us and now we are your bitches, go suck a dick.
See,
and also the Durand line, fuck you.
Yeah, they don't care.
Yeah, right. They like this is what I love about the Taliban.
They you show them a map, right? You show the Taliban a map and you're like, this is our line, this is our line. The Taliban is going to turn around and say, well, we can't fucking read in the first place.
The Taliban is like, you show them a map and you're like, okay, so we helped you out with this.
One of these days.
It's just a mango. If it were a coconut, you'd probably be dead.
Well, but, you read Jack Dempsey's book, right? Explosive punching power and all that.
Yeah.
First example, baby falling from whatever height.
Why was he throwing babies?
It was an analogy.
He could have thrown anything. He could have thrown an apple like Newton. He could have thrown a coconut like any cartoon does. But he decided to. I like that.
The point of the example was something soft and squishy as a baby can still kill you if it's dropped from far enough.
Yeah. It's all about momentum and velocity.
Yeah. So one of these days.
It's okay. You want me to drop something on your head? We can do that.
Oh no, I'm good. I want divine intervention when I die.
Yeah. Talking to an atheist. Wrong person to talk to about divine intervention.
It's all fashion for me.
Anyway, so yeah. What do you think about Trump's family? I know his daughter's pretty hot.
You know about Adam's family?
Who's Adam?
Adam's Family, the show.
Oh, the show. Yeah.
That.
How? Dude, his daughter's very hot. I mean, I know she's like Botox to the gills and all of that.
Yeah, exactly. So there's a certain theme going there, right?
There is. Do you think Trump gets Botox?
No, but he.
Because if this is
look at his face, look at his physique, look at everything. You telling me he's not fucked up on something?
Yeah, he looks like multiple dough balls stacked together.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's some theme going on.
with like orange Cheeto
Yeah,
colored hair.
exactly. And he's
Weird,
blonde.
right?
It's a very weird combination. Doesn't make sense. See, it's kind of it's likable about Trump though. Things don't make sense. He doesn't give a fuck.
He is the richest and the most highly placed example of white trash there is, right? Because he looks like white trash, even though he has the fucking.
He talks
more
like
money
it.
than
He
the-
walks the talk. He does everything you'd expect some guy from a trailer trash suburban area to pull off. But he's the president. He's the president of the most powerful
Oh my
nation on earth. He has people on his beck and call. He's selling Bibles.
He is?
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
didn't
he's
know
been
that.
selling Bibles commercially.
He's the
Commercially.
the guy who fucked a porn star and says, yeah, grab women by the pussy is selling Bibles.
He's selling
and people
Bibles.
are buying them.
And buying them, yeah.
Holy fuck, man. That is brilliant.
I remember seeing a clip.
'Cause you know what? If you and I,
Dude.
you and I got caught on video or on audio saying we grab women by the pussies,
Yeah.
we couldn't sell water to a fucking, somebody who's dying in the desert.
We can make it to Parliament though.
In India? No, you have to be rich for that.
We're getting there.
Shit.
Baby
We
steps.
weren't supposed to go after Indian politicians.
You said Indian Parliament. I just said Parliament. Could be any Parliament. Besides, we're not being specific. See, as long as you're not specific, it could be anybody. It could be any party. It could be any individual. It could be anybody.
Yeah.
It's all about ambiguity. I remember seeing this clip, right? Like not too long ago. This guy gets pulled over, right? And
In like a Western country.
yeah. This guy gets pulled over, and he immediately starts chanting, "Trump save me!" Right? And he's still like starting out, right? He's very determined. He's like, "Trump save me! Trump our savior! Trump this! Trump that! Trump save me!" Right? And then he turns around, and he looks back, and he immediately just starts bursting tears, and he's like, "Trump save me!" His voice is cracking and everything. And then you see the cops like come up, right? And they're black. Then the timing is amazing.
I'm pretty sure that was scripted.
Oh, come on. If it's scripted, it was really well scripted. Right? I like it though.
Yeah, there was this video of Trump, okay? So he walks up to this car. He's walking out of a building. He walks up to this car, and this woman is like taking her kids out of the back seat and like whatever. So it's her car. It's a nice car, decent car. And he's like, "Oh, I need this car. I'm taking it." And she's like, "What are you talking about? It's my car." And he just like he hands her a check, and he's like, "I'm taking it." And she's like, "Oh, okay. Oh, wow." So she's like, "Oh, just let me get my kids out of the back seat." And he's like, "How much for the kids?" What? Dude, what are you doing? and I was like, you know what? You can hate Trump, you can like Trump, and you can do whatever. But he's fucking. He has these boss level instances in his life, right? Where he's just he's just that he's got that big dick energy. You know, like that guy who will walk into the room, put his dick on the table, and be like, "Fuck you."
No, not even put it on the table. Slam it from under.
Whatever. But he has that "fuck you" energy, right?
Yeah.
He's like, every time in a political debate somebody tries to get after him, he will just say
He'll admit it, he'll go with
the
it.
most random scandalous shit. You know, like, "Oh, so and so female politician is a pig." And I'm like, what? What does that have to do with you getting elected? And he's just like, "Oh, she's a pig. She's this, she's that." And I'm like, dude. And every time you hear him say something like that, you're like, "Fuck, you're not gonna survive this one." And then he does.
He pulls it off, yeah.
Yeah, right.
Somehow.
Like that whole
World wants to do it.
grabbing women by the pussy thing. I was like, dude, there is no fucking way you're getting elected after this.
Yeah, you're done.
And lo and behold, he's the fucking president.
Fucked a porn star. Publicly.
Okay, you know what? That I don't have as much of a problem
Yeah, I guess scandals and
with.
everything, right?
No, not just that. It's like, dude, like
It's like a run-of-the-mill scandal compared to everything else. It's
like
very
if an
vanilla.
Indian politician fucked a porn star and people are like, don't vote for him because he fucked a porn star, I would like, shut the fuck up. Like, that's cool.
See, that's helping the economy.
Is it?
Yeah, think about it.
If the economy is the porn star, then yeah, sure. The amount of money that she made, and she signed a non-disclosure agreement, and
Dude,
then she just came out with all of it anyway.
Sex-starved country like India, you best believe that there's an entire economy behind this stuff.
Oh yeah, behind sex work, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Dude, Calcutta has had the largest red light district in the world for like ever.
I'm not surprised.
For forever.
Oh, forever.
Like,
oh, so there's like century. There's a whole tradition.
yeah. And they, you know what? So if you look into it, you realize they have very specific ways of quoting that were taught to the women who work there generation by generation. Right? So how to be around a man and how to appeal to a man and how to
very Japanese.
Sell yourself. Yeah, kind of like that.
Yeah.
But not as cultured,
refined,
to be very honest. Yeah, because most of the lower level ones are just like chal types.
But they're very to the point.
Yeah, but then there are higher ends to it where they're very cultured and they have
educated all
they
that.
have a very specific appeal. So
yeah.
They have like well curated customers and all of that shit. Kind of like, you know, that series Hira Mandi that everybody was raving about.
I haven't seen it actually.
Yeah, neither have I.
Yeah.
But apparently it is about so Hira Mandi used to be during British times. It used to be where the higher end of society went to like fuck around, and they would like rich families would literally send people there, like send their young boy there to become a man, and like.
I mean,
okay.
It's to the point and it's very, I guess, non-experimental. You know?
What's more experimental?
Like, why leave it to your kid?
What's more experimental than a family sending their young boy to fuck a sex worker?
See, there's a family tradition behind this practice. There's names, people you recommend, you know? It's
Which
practiced.
family are you talking about? Because ours has never done this.
No, ours has never done this, but like you have to, at this point, you have to assume, you have to figure out that they've been doing it again and again. So now they have a practice.
Yeah, and then royal families back then had their own system of having courtesans and multiple
You had a wife that you just showed on the public diaspora and all that, and then you had everybody else.
Yeah, you had a wife that you would have a painting with in your Raj Mahal, and then you would have multiple women that you were actually banging
and the
kids
maid.
with. And the maid.
I mean, at least JFK would approve.
Dude, okay, JFK was sleeping with Marilyn Monroe.
And everybody else.
Like
the whole White House.
Respect.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Everybody is sleeping with Marilyn Monroe.
People she wanted to sleep with.
Which was everybody.
No. That's not physically possible. You know, it's like this one time, one of my exes, you know, she was like, you like literally going around fucking everybody after we broke up. And I was like, that is not physically possible. Like,
see,
can you not like go? So there is exaggeration and there is just like outright like madness, right? It is not physically possible for Marilyn Monroe to fuck everybody.
But in like figuratively speaking, even if you exaggerate it, that's what it kind of was. It wasn't that, as long as you were at that circle-ish somewhere over there, you were good to go.
But dude, she was Marilyn Monroe. Like if you were,
even his brother chose Marilyn Monroe.
Yeah, of course. See, that's the thing. If you are the most beautiful, charming, and appealing woman on the planet, who is one of the first sex icons for women, right? Wouldn't you explore your sexuality? I don't see anything wrong with it.
No, there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with, like, it's your life, it's your whatever you want to do. You explore your sexuality, you go with different people, and that's entirely fine as long as you're not cheating on somebody or something.
I'm pretty sure Kennedy was cheating on.
Yeah, and then this is where we're heading to, right? But that's on Kennedy, though, to be honest. Not even. I guess, she's a bit of a bitch for it, but
I don't think so.
See, I mean, she knew the guy was married.
Mm-hmm.
She fucked him, probably in the Oval Office, where where his wife has been.
Uh-huh.
and you know he like she knows he's a married man. She did it anyway. Kind of makes you a little bit of a bitch.
So what? Dude, I have dated women who were in relationships and shit like that. Like that according to that logic, like I'm a horrible person.
Well,
You're supposed to be on my side.
I'm on my side. Nobody else's, man.
Fuck you, bro.
See, I'm being honest.
You're just being a dick.
I'm being honest. I'm being an honest
but,
dick.
okay, so very nice people also have extramarital affairs.
Yeah.
It's not that you're a bad person because
Everybody has skeletons in their closet, and it's all about. It's the collective, right? Thing. It's about what you are as a person. Everybody's gonna fuck around. Everybody's gonna mess up. Everybody's gonna stumble, and everybody's gonna do some very horrible things to varying degrees. Now, what matters is if you take that as a great sign, or
here's another thing, right? So, till you don't explore your sexuality, whether you're a man or a woman, you will not arrive at a point where you understand the concept of being loyal to one person. Is what I believe, right?
You have to explore, like, figuring out what you want in your partner. How are you gonna know that if you don't go out and explore?
Exactly.
You have to find people.
So take Trump for example. So he slept with a porn star. And people are like, oh, that's a bad thing. And yada. Have you seen his fucking wife?
Yeah.
She is the coldest meerkat looking fucking chick I've ever seen. She won't even hold his hand, which you're supposed to do while you're like walking out of Air Force One.
I don't even blame her, to be honest.
Dude, she married him.
I don't know the person. I don't know the dude, but he doesn't seem very affectionate. You know?
Yeah, she didn't. I'm pretty sure she didn't marry him for affection.
Yeah. Yeah, but then there's a difference between having to marry somebody and wanting to marry somebody, right? So she married him for the money, and his status and whatsoever. So she's not obligated to follow through and hold his hand and give him kisses and all that shit. She got to the position. He got what he wanted. She got what she wanted.
I'm pretty sure what he wanted was sex. I'm pretty sure he's not getting it from her.
Well, he doesn't have to.
Fuck, this is going to be scandalous.
You'll have to beep out the F words though. No? Isn't YouTube very iffy on that?
I always mark the content as like for adult audiences. So.
Well, so long as you're not decapitating people.
And they always. So every time you're uploading a video, so it takes a lot of time for you to edit it and render it. Once the render is complete, the most amount of time it takes to upload it is in YouTube going through the video and making sure that you can post it, right?
They still give you copyright strikes and all that post.
I've never had any of those actually.
Yeah, but you're starting out, you're branching, right? You're you haven't settled.
No, and
yourself
they've never even like cautioned me for any of the things that I've said, and I've said like fuck and dick and everything. Like, yeah, I don't censor.
To be fair, they're more active behind copyright stuff.
And I don't use any music.
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah. I just want. My whole thing is I want the content to be as natural as it is, which is why I don't edit it much either. Like if there is a major fuck up where say somebody, so me or the person I'm speaking to says something that is factually incorrect, and we, obviously you realize that and then you say, oh, that's not what I meant to say or something like that.
Yeah.
That is where I will take that out. But otherwise I don't edit it much.
Yeah.
Because I think that it's more genuine that way. Yeah. Because if you start editing everything and tailoring it to be a certain way, you just like, it's not as natural.
See, I think fixating on an image is not, I mean, this is my first time doing this. I've never done YouTube stuff. I've just watched YouTube. And I don't know, I just don't feel like putting up an image or whatsoever. I never even thought about it. I just went with whatever came along,
You're just a tool. I needed somebody to sit with me and talk shit with me. That's pretty much it.
I think we did more serious talk today. Less shit talk, more serious.
Wait till we get to other topics, bro. This is like, you know what? It is very difficult to say funny shit about Trump because like he's pretty funny in himself. You are not going to enhance him in any way.
Yeah.
Unless you're like Dave Chappelle or somebody. Like we are not very high level.
I'm not a comedian.
Comedians, right? We can't actually do anything to make him funnier.
Yeah.
Because, dude, a guy who says grab women by the pussy is like,
How do you extend that?
he's pretty offensive and funny to begin with. Like there is nothing you can add to that. And you know what? I still fixate on it, even though it's been so long. It's still weird for me.
It's hard to let go. How do you let go of something like that? That's about as blatant as it gets.
We don't say that shit when we're sitting with friends off camera, drinking, getting pissed drunk.
Yeah.
You know? That guy was like,
I've never been that off the cuff. Even when drunk.
It's not even about being off the cuff. Even when we are being off the cuff.
Yeah,
we
don't
would
even
never
think
say that,
Yeah.
right? We would never do that. It's like... And the best part is, not only did he fucking do it multiple times, he is talking about it as if it's an achievement. It's like, you know what, I do this. Like it's like some rapist getting caught on tape saying, you know what, I'm a fucking rapist. You know, I'm cool, bro. No, you're not cool, motherfucker. Oh my god.
I mean that is genuinely sexual, like assault territory. You're heading there with that statement.
Depending, heading there, you are in the fucking center of it.
Yeah, you're sexual harassment.
You're not supposed to grab people's genitals, man or woman, right?
The only thing that can save him from that point is context, and even then the context is probably gonna make things worse. Maybe he had consent. Maybe.
He just said
consent.
He just said if I like them, I just like grab them.
Okay, well then he just.
That's horrible
That's
context.
sabotage.
That's probably why I was about to take his daughter's name. Why his wife Melania is so pissed off because he probably does that kind of shit all the time, and she's always like, you see her smile and it is so forced.
It's very yeah.
Right?
If she's even smiling half the time.
Yeah, she rarely does.
Yeah. Man, getting convicted with 33 charges. You seen that shit?
No.
And he got away with it.
Yeah. Dude, the Capitol riots were the funniest.
Oh man.
Because he was like, good job. And even if you think that you're not supposed to say it.
Dude gave a blood and soil speech right outside the White House. Full on, without the salute and everything. Full on Führer levels of speech. Like, you know, German, Nazi Germany, Führer. On the podium, yeah.
Dude, and every time I hear Hitler talk like that, right, it makes me laugh. And my first thought is, okay, he was supposed to be charismatic.
Yeah.
What the fuck is this? Like, if somebody comes up to me and like 99999, and I'll be like, what are you trying to do? Like, are you trying to what is this? Why are you doing this? And why are you yelling so much? Calm the fuck down. You know. You should watch that video of Hitler sitting at those at the German Olympics, and he's so fucking high, so he's just like sitting there and he's tweaking and he's doing this. And I'm
because he had to see a black man win. after telling his entire country of how superior we the Aryans, blonde. He wasn't blonde.
He wasn't even blonde.
He wasn't blonde.
Goebbels wasn't blonde. Like most of those motherfuckers weren't blonde.
Yeah, he made up an entire ethos, right? Entire mythology of the blonde, blonde haired, white skinned, blue eyed German, superior
Ubermensch.
Yeah, and fucked up Nietzsche along the way.
Yeah,
that
poor
guy.
Guy. He came up with such a brilliant philosophical idea, right?
That's such a critical takedown, critical reasoning, and like proper application of critical reasoning, and really something that you didn't see back then of him taking on institutions.
And Hitler just picked that up and he turned it into a race thing and like went around killing Jews, and he's like a Nietzsche, Ubermensch. Nietzsche must be like, what the fuck, bro?
Dude, Nietzsche could not catch a break his entire life.
Nietzsche is the one who died of syphilis, right?
We think
so. And he only had sex with like 2 or 3 women, and only had like one love of his life who would constantly treat him like a doormat.
And she went with his best friend.
Yeah, and he was still pining for her. Like, it's so fascinating that you can be an absolute wreck as a human being and have zero self-respect and be Friedrich Nietzsche.
See, I think the thing about Nietzsche is, despite everything he went through his life, he still was advocating for life. He was still a very big proponent of living life,
Dude,
enjoying life.
if I was his friend, I would just tell him, you have nothing, just die. Don't advocate for life. I will advocate for life because I have one. I also have your girlfriend. You should go die. You have nothing. All you have is syphilis, and that's just sad.
See, but whatever he did, like he enjoyed his walks in nature, he enjoyed going out. Everything was working against him, he still found things to enjoy. And I think I find that very commendable, right? Life has made no bones fucking you over multiple times. You were born fucked over. You were born with a condition where you have migraines, very bad migraines if you're not under certain.
Yeah, but dude, his life wasn't that bad. Like he was a tenured professor, right?
He was not
in
treated,
Europe at that time.
He was not treated nearly as well. He was
but
left
that
with
is
the
besides the point. Like he had a good life. He had money. He had a good position. He was running around in the best of circles back then. So it's not like his life was shit. It was just like he used to whine about it a lot because he had very specific expectations and he didn't get those.
I don't think he whined. I think he was really pissed with how things were, but he had hopes, right? People
Fucking
confuse
mosquitoes.
Nietzsche, huh?
Fucking mosquitoes. Anyway,
people confuse Nietzsche as a nihilist very often, right?
No.
Yeah.
I mean, people do.
Because he talks about nihilism a lot, and they say
Yeah.
Nietzsche a nihilist. He's not a nihilist. He was never a nihilist. But in order for him to get to his point, he had to address things. He had to start with the church at the time. He had to start with different religious and different institutions, state institutions, etc. Then he had to get to the blank slate, which is what nihilism is, right? Where you wipe the old stuff and you start with a blank slate. And his whole point behind nihilism was not to get caught up in it. That's a bad thing, that this is not where we will get to this point, but this is not where we want to stay, and we don't want to weaponize it and treat it as a good thing.
So
which is what most people do.
Because we keep getting off topic, right? I found
Yeah,
I found a
I
very
was
nice
talking Nietzsche.
parallel between this conversation and the topic we are discussing. So Trump does have nihilistic tendencies because he wants to be done with the old order
Yeah.
that has been running the United States. So basically what people call the deep state, or what people call the political elite or the political establishment, which is kind of, it is the same people
I
and the
never
same
understood
families
that.
doing the same fucking shit.
I never understood that, because the people running everything are right in front of you. There's no deep state needed.
Not really. I mean,
Amazon, Microsoft, all these companies, they already are running the world. Why are they looking for a deep state? There is no need for deep state. They're doing it openly in front of your face. They're lobbying different policies together that favor them. They're doing everything right there.
all of that is still within the margins of what most people find acceptable, na? So what the deep state per se would do would be things that are utterly unacceptable to any human being, right? Which is like get people killed or do these shadow ops and all of that crap, which the government does. So you can't really say
Companies do as well.
companies do as well. Because please don't come after me.
Africa is doing it right now. The American companies have been doing it in Africa for so long. It's insane. You know,
They've been doing it
not even
everywhere.
not
They-
even American.
so-
Every company on the planet.
we still don't admit to it,
Yeah.
but homie Baba was killed by the CIA
Yeah,
because they didn't want the nuclear
they
program.
have whole transcript on.
We
They have a
we
recorded
still don't
convers-
admit to it. Like, can you imagine? This is one of the things I don't like about India, right? You being such a big fucking pussy that even to date, after all of these years, the official story is his plane crashed. Yeah, right.
We have official transcript from the
Yeah.
president's office about them talking. Well, besides Indira Gandhi and everything, about them about the CIA director, and I think it was Reagan.
I'm not sure.
I think it was Reagan. The one who was talking a lot of trash about Indian women, this and that, and they're ugly, and I don't like India.
I think all of them did that.
Yeah, one of those, right? There's a transcript. I think it was Reagan. No. I think it was
doesn't
before.
matter. Get to
Doesn't
the
matter.
point.
They have an entire transcript, right? Multiple pages of them talking about how they managed to kill Homi Baba, how they sabotaged his aircraft, it crashed, and how they got confirmation that he's dead. They have declassified documents on it, but we're treating it like it's a fool's errand. Like we're treating it like it doesn't exist, right?
Yeah.
Like it's a mythology or some shit.
Yeah,
like that.
it's kind of like how so you and I and every Indian student is in geography. We are taught what India looks like.
Yeah.
Right. But the fact of the matter is, Kashmir doesn't actually look like that.
Yeah.
Half of that is not even within our control.
Yeah, it's with Pakistan.
Yeah,
and China.
Yeah.
Pakistan and
So
Pakistan.
see
and
that,
Pakistan.
that is something that irks me.
Yeah.
If as a nation you feel so strongly about it, please go and get it back. I will support you, and so will most people. Right? Grow the balls to go and get it back, or don't make a fool of children and tell them, oh, this is what Kashmir is, when half of it doesn't even exist.
See, when you made your bones about owning and controlling Kashmir and all that, you built an entire ideology and you built a thought process behind it. Now all of a sudden you can't backtrack and commit suicide for your entire political, like kill your entire political capital just so you can be the rational person.
It's not about being rational. If you're going to put that version of the map out, right, and you're going to teach every Indian child,
And you have to.
that this is what Kashmir is and this is part of our nation.
See, yeah.
Go get it.
See, every country on the planet is gonna have its own dick measuring contest, and varying degrees and varying
Yeah,
points.
but why is it that somehow in every dick measuring contest that we have with any other country,
we're very cringy about it.
we end up with the shorter end of the stick?
I think it's just cultural,
Hmm.
political culture.
Yeah, I mean, I guess so. Yeah.
See, I think we're very, very keen on maintaining status quo,
Mm-hmm.
even if, like, as long as the world believes things are the same, the local government doesn't care,
Mm-hmm.
right? Even if things are getting sliced off, slowly peeled away. I think that's what it is. It's not about making big grand moves.
Fuck it. Let's get back to Trump.
Let's go to Biden.
You want to talk about Biden?
Why not?
Dude, I mean,
We talked about Trump for so long. I mean,
yeah, there is nothing to say about Biden. He's just he's
there.
He's senile.
He's just there.
He's senile. He can't find his way around his own house. He can't get off of his own plane without tripping and falling off.
Or ride a bike.
Riding a bike is like beyond his capacity.
I think he tried it once.
He'd have to go like 20 years into the past just to be able to pull that
the
off.
funny thing about Biden is you go 20 years back, right?
Yeah.
And he's talking like he's completely coherent, sane. He's talking well. He's talking articulated. He's like Eminem, but sensible. Well, I mean, Eminem is
What?
sensible. Like geopolitically inclined Eminem. You know?
Very articulate. Basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And he can just find words, and he's machine gunning them out. Like,
And the best part is when he was actually capable, he did not win the presidency. And when he became a bumbling old fool, people were like, you know what? Anybody is better than Trump. Let's let our senile uncle take over the nation.
you know, like this is how you know they're scraping the barrel when you have to put a guy like Biden, who's well beyond his prime in every sense, on the seat. I don't even think they're letting him run the country, to be honest. I think it was just his PMO, like his cabinet, and they were the ones managing it. He just gave the general outline, you know.
Yeah, they just tell him, you know what, this is what you're supposed to say in the speech. This is your speech.
Yeah.
And then he goes and fucks that up as well. Like, dude, somebody needs to put like a speaker in his mouth and just tell him, go open your mouth in front of the mic, and we'll just talk through your mouth.
Yeah.
Some kind of psyop like that.
I will give him this though, considering the shit show that Trump left him in, he did okay. But the okay is not good enough. Okay, fine. So Trump left him in a position where he had to get out of Afghanistan, right? He still had the choice of retreating out of Afghanistan in stages and leaving some semblance of functionality. The thing
in
is,
that
when they signed, that was never gonna happen.
No, see, Trump signed, we were going to leave.
And within this date.
Yeah, but you can
By
still, as Donald Trump, so there were provisions for the United States to go back on those stipulations if their requirements were not met. So if the Afghanistan started crossing lines, they could go back on their word. That was mentioned.
But that was never going to be politically viable.
Not Afghanistan. So the Taliban crossed every fucking line.
Yeah, because
they attacked establishment they were absolutely supposed to stay away from. They attacked US military, they attacked the Afghan army, they attacked everybody, they attacked civilians, they were bombing places, they were running around, like it was like a free for all for jihadis, where it's like, you know what, this whole country, go fuck shit up, do whatever you want. And that is exactly what
we're not going to be around for the cleanup.
No, that is exactly what they were not supposed to do, and what was supposed to prompt the United States to stick around. And
See-
yet Biden was like, you know what, fuck it.
See, all of that sticking around, we're gonna go back if you mess with the clauses thing was just fluff. The point behind the agreement and the Taliban knew was they're leaving.
Yeah.
And they're not stupid enough to now turn back on their word because nobody wants them in Afghanistan, not even the people back there. So they knew the moment they signed documents over.
They wanted them around. The Afghan government wanted them around.
The Afghan government wanted them around. The people
wanted
back
them around.
home, the people putting the votes in, didn't want them in Afghanistan.
Yeah, but that is not the point, right? You're the United States, you've been running around all over the world for decades, right? You have to understand there is a reason. Like, you know how people keep saying Americans especially, now they keep saying the United States meddles in people's affairs and they do this.
Everybody does.
Yeah, okay, fine. So the strongest country in the world will do that. The United States is doing that because it is also providing you security all over the globe and facilitating globalization.
Yep.
Look at what happens when the United States stop doing that. The global economic structure is going to shit, right? And if you listen to most economic analysts who are of any capability, all of them are saying that the globalized economy is now going to crash and we are going to have individual economic pockets where nations of note and the nations that surround them will build these pockets of economic structures and function independently, right? That is what the United States was trying to avoid. They might have done a shit job of it and gone to war with multiple countries and fuck shit up, right? But every country on the planet has benefited from globalization, right?
I don't think that's entirely the case. I think people assign ethics to geopolitics, but this is not a very ethical stage.
Exactly.
This is a dog eats dog, biggest dog runs the show.
Precisely, right? So you think, okay, so if you as any anti-US individual or nation are saying that, okay, you know what, the US should not be fucking around with all of these countries
Which
around
it
the world.
shouldn't.
No. Let me finish, right? And the US is like, okay, fine, I won't do it. And then the US is regressing as a global power, right? And China is coming up as a global power, even though they have their own issues, and they will also collapse at a certain point, in the very near future, because they have economic issues, they have population issues,
They have water crisis.
they have water crisis, they have
population,
everything,
they have-
right?
Yeah.
But for the short period of time where China is the top dog, do you think China is not going to fuck around with other countries?
They already
and
are.
do you think
They already are.
Exactly.
They're in Africa right now.
they're in Africa, they're in Sri Lanka, they're trying to cut India off, they're trying to fuck with
They're
the
doing
US
their own shit. They're already
in
begun.
Taiwan,
Yeah.
right? And they're not even the top power. And if you look at it, so being a democracy, people in the US still have the option of saying, you know, as America, we should not be fucking around. In China, there is no such thing.
No.
So people in the US can actually say to the government, please be ethical and do things the right way. In China, you can't do that. So who's going to do?
You can do that. You just won't like the consequences.
No, you can't, because you can try.
Yeah.
Number one, nobody's going to listen
Actually,
to
yeah,
you.
you can try.
You can try. Number one, nobody's going to listen to you. Number two, they're going to put you in prison. Number three, you're going to vanish because they will just kill you and put you in a ditch. So what is the point?
And you're very replaceable there. You're extremely replaceable there.
It is like Schrodinger's cat. If you are living in China, you exist as much as you don't exist. Because at any moment your existence is in question, right? And that applies to the whole fucking population. Everybody in that country,
All the way to the highest levels.
everybody in that country except for Xi Jinping.
Yeah.
That applies to,
Yeah.
right? So basically, it's like a country of billions of Schrodinger's cats that is running out of a young population, has economic issues because their fucking real estate market is
very
going to shit,
poorly. Yeah.
right? Dude, you know what their companies did? So they started taking up money from the government, or from banks, which is basically the government in China, and they started building houses, and now they have more houses
Yeah, people.
than they have people. Who the fuck are you going to sell that
They have
to?
entire ghost cities still.
Exactly.
They have their uses, but
Yeah, I mean, but like they have their uses, but they're not actually functionally helping
See,
the country. They're a drain on
I
the
don't
economy.
think it's gonna collapse because usually with economics, eventually somebody makes the adjustment.
No, see, here is the
prolongs
thing.
the
It
issue.
is not just the economics, right? The economic situation in China is one problem. It is other things coupled with it that cumulatively are a major issue, and the biggest issue is the population. So they are literally running out of people.
Yeah.
Because of the one-child policy. Russia has a similar problem.
Russia has a different.
The reason why Russia chose to go to war with Ukraine at this very particular time and not wait for a little longer,
because they were
is
working
because
towards NATO.
not just that. It is not. See, Ukraine has been aligning itself with NATO for like decades.
But
And
now they were making concrete
Ukraine
progress.
and Russia have been at war for decades, right? People just weren't noticing it because it hadn't gotten to all-out war.
I don't think people even knew where Ukraine was up until like 3 years ago.
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, most people didn't. Anyway, the point is, Russia went for it because in another 5 to 8 to 10 years, they wouldn't have a young population to go to war with.
No, I don't think. I don't think Putin cared about that because
He does.
No,
because
no.
If you can't even conscript people and force them to be a part of your army because there are no people, how are you going to go to war with?
Because
Ukraine?
that was never the original. Like you look at how they invaded Ukraine, right? They thought it was going to be a bam bam, thank you Uncle Sam thing, right? You show up, you kick the door in, and the whole structure falls apart. The thing is, they were very very wrong about that. And now they committed to an entire conflict that they're adamant on, and yeah, it's working in their favor-ish. It's getting there now because it's their kind of war now. But even still, it's not a very sustainable war. They never accounted for this to be a war. It was going to be an operation, which is why they said special military I mean,
no, you might be taking things too literally. They knew they were going to war, and even before they did. So I'll tell you a very interesting instance.
The way you look at their operation news, right? It's a very decapitation, quick strike kind of system. It wasn't a whole
that's
invasion.
That's a Western.
That's something they had to do after the
Western
pullback.
notion. It is not actually true because even before the war broke out in full scale in Ukraine, so for like a decade and a half, they've been fighting.
Yeah, they had their
Donetsk and Luhansk.
Yeah,
and so here is the thing: this American intelligence official. So he was meeting the foreign minister. His name starts with L.
F? No?
Something. His surname starts with L. The
Yeah.
Russian foreign minister. So I don't know. So they were talking about all of this and the conflict in Ukraine and how things are progressing towards an aggression, right? And he said, you know what, you have to realize something. They're kind of friendly. So he told him, you know, you have to realize something. You have a very short memory span. When we go to war, we are willing to last it out. That is a part of our history in warfare, right? We did the same thing in World War II and we took a lot of damage and then we got things going. And once you get the Russian army, the Russian industry, the Russian people aligned and things are functioning, then we steamroll everything. So we take a lot of shit in the beginning, but then we get things done. And we are willing to keep going in the long run. You, on the other hand, have a very short attention span. There is going to be a point where you are going to start forgetting about Ukraine. And that is when it's done. And it is partially true because now the thing in Gaza, right, has diverted America's attention and
actually.
then Taiwan is going to break out and they'll be divided on 3 fronts. And then eventually all of these wars will keep escalating. You will have multiple conflicts in different parts of the world where the US will be, you know, the primary source of help for the Western bloc of each conflict, right? So they're going to get divided everywhere. But the enemies of the US are not going to get divided everywhere.
Well,
because
the enemies are different.
Yeah, because you're contending with Russia on one front, you're contending with China on another front, you're contending with Hamas on another
and
front, and Iran,
proxy.
right? And Hezbollah and all of those fucks. So it's like, it's like you are fighting 3 people. It's easier for those 3 people to beat the fuck out of you.
Yeah, and they're smart enough to know not to engage with the US directly. At least Russia and China are. Sorry, not Russia. Iran and China are. They know how to bleed the US without going
even
to open conflict.
Even Russia is. Russia has not actually done anything to give the US an excuse
to invade. And that's not going to happen. But see, the thing is, with Russia trying to outlast things right now, I don't really think they're in a position to do that. They're not the Soviet Union. They don't have that massive military capability and capacity and that sheer brutal strength that they did as the Soviet Union. The Soviet Union military's whole operational doctrine, let's just say, their whole principle was being big, being bold, being aggressive, and getting through your problems by sheer
just throwing numbers at it. Not just aggression. So their whole idea was we have more people than anything that is coming, any nation that is coming up against us. So just throw people at it.
And not in a suicidal charge World War II-esque or World War I.
Very calculated.
Very well operationally planned. Their whole thing was operations. The United States is tactics.
In Stalingrad during the Second World War, during the siege, when the Germans pushed the Russian army to the Volga River, and they were like literally crossing over from the other side every day to fight, die, and keep like some portion of the waterfront so that they have some hold on Stalingrad. So at that point, Stalin told his general, the newly appointed general who was supposed to figure the conflict out, to send a few hundred men every day across the Volga, let them fight, let them die, and then send the same amount the next day. Right? So it's not like he's sending an operational number that is going to be able to do something there. No. He's just sending a bunch of people, like a few hundred people, to go die there every day and keep the conflict alive while the Russians prepare and wait for winter.
See, the Russians, like Stalin understood kind of. I think Stalin took a little while, but he understood what kind of war World War II was going to be, which was an attritional war on the Eastern Front.
No. It wasn't even about Stalin. You know, so in World War I, when the Tsars ruled over Russia, right?
Yeah.
Russia got fucked in the ass by
they got decimated.
Puny fucking country with.
I think it was the Ottoman Empire fucked them over or something.
And Japan, right? They got, if I'm not wrong, so they got pretty rogered off. And then they arrived at a point during the Second World War where they realized the Germans are not just coming at us and fighting a war, right? They're enslaving our people, they're gassing them, torturing them, raping them, raping our children. You know, like there is no humanity in this enemy. So if we are not prepared to fight and die, we will cease to exist. And it became an existential crisis for them, and not just going to war with the idea of, okay, maybe we win, maybe we lose, there'll be some kind of agreement and that will be that.
See, people already, so Hitler already laid out what he wanted to do with Slavs, which was pretty much the same treatment he was going to give to the Jews. He gave to the Jews. So the common people didn't know Mein Kampf, but the common people didn't know enough to know where this was heading.
The common people saw the German panzer divisions charging through the Russian front right up till Moscow and Stalingrad and that whole line, and they saw what the Germans were doing. Anyway,
we're digressing.
Let's end this because it's pretty long now. So who do you think is going to win?
I think
Trump or Harris?
I think Kamala Harris might win.
I think Trump is going to win. For fucking sure.
I think it's going to be Harris.
Like now, since he got shot and he's like walking around like a gangster with tape on his ear.
See, I think he's trying to sell it, and it has had an impact, but I think people are just too tired of it and they want a new face. And everything is kind of...
Kamala Harris is not a new face.
She's relatively a new face in the presidential... Like not as a vice president or whatever. She's been in the cabinet.
Everybody has been saying on both sides of the aisle that Kamala Harris is just sitting there like a vulture waiting for Biden to die so she can be president and she wouldn't have to go through an election. Like she is not a new face at all.
No, she's not a new face in the sense that she's been in that circle. She's been she was VP, right?
She just hasn't been president yet.
Yes, she hasn't been president yet, and as far as those candidates are concerned, we haven't seen new faces. That is where people are getting at, right? They just want somebody new. And she does have enough of a support to be a credible threat. I mean, I read, I don't know how credible it is because I didn't really do some empirical research, but she made like $310 million for her campaign.
That's peanuts.
Or was that Trump? God damn, it's been... yeah, I'm lost.
Anyway, this is a nice conversation.
Yeah.
And let's get to editing.
I'm getting eaten live.
Same here.